27th of April 2000. Oprah turns to Robert Kiyosaki and says, "Congratulations, Rich Dad. We've just sold you 1 million books." Now at the time, Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, was making $5 per book. So after this 1-hour show on Oprah, which was actually 3 years after he released the book that this show happened, he made $5 million from that 1-hour show. Such is the power of the media. So I'm going to talk about good news. Who of you would agree there's way too much negative news in the mass media? Show of hands? Yes, thank you. Well, there are actually ways you can profit from sharing good news. And in fact, did you know the biggest selling book of all time is the Good News Bible? 5 billion copies have sold of that book. I'm not preaching religion on anyone here. I just find that very interesting. And the fact is now there is actually a whole good news movement happening worldwide. You know, there's been a rapidly changing world of media over the last 15 years since social media came about. Since the early 2000s, we've had social media, Facebook, etc. Since about 2004. Now we have about 3 billion people worldwide who are using social media actively. So that's nearly half of the world's population are on social media. And what's happening now with traditional media, such as TV, radio and print, is they are looking to social media every single day for story ideas. So this is very exciting for you as speakers, authors, etc., to get your message out, because everything you put out could actually be picked up by media and could run in the media. And in fact, TV bulletins, if you've seen any TV news lately, you'll notice that they've actually been running a lot of social media footage, because often they can't be on location as quick as things are happening nowadays. So it's a great opportunity to promote your good news. And people also are drawn to positivity, I believe. I think we've been brought up in a world where we've been led to believe that bad news sells. Or if it bleeds, it leads. And I think the powers that be have been trying to have a world of people living in fear so they can control them, so they can divide and rule and control, right? So in saying that, we have these very powerful media outlets out there where you can get your message out and make a difference and lift people's spirits out there, such as the HerStory magazine. That's a fantastic example of a good news magazine out there. We've got the Good News Network, we've got Huffington Post. There's all sorts of positive news outlets out there. There's Happy News. There was a newspaper in England that went viral, the Happy Newspaper. So I believe good news actually does sell. And today I'm going to show you some ways that you can profit from publicity. Now, I am known as the media queen. Now, it's not just because it's easier to say than Aldwyn, Altuney. It's not just because I actually have 36 years media experience, and if you don't believe me, this is me at age 10. I'm actually 46 now, and my first time in the media was in the Manly Daily in Sydney, Northern Beaches. I was a top junior table tennis player, and I remember the photographer and journalist taking photos, and I just thought, wow, this is so exciting. I'd love to do something like this one day. So my fascination with the media started very young. At age 11, I did my first, I was on TV actually, Channel 7 on Cartoon Connection. Age 13, I had my own radio show. So from a very young age, I was doing a lot of media. And then I went on to work with News Limited papers. Actually, I edited the university newspaper Curio. I went to Canberra. And one of the first stories I wrote was actually an anti-female circumcision story. We were talking about that this morning. And we had graphic visual images of the 3 different types of circumcision. So this kind of university press, there was a lot of freedom of speech. And I loved doing that kind of thing. I also wrote stories against battery farming of chickens and about the environment. Whatever it is out there that upset me, I would write about it. And I would reach thousands of people with that story. Just the university press, the local paper, reached at the time about 40,000 people. Just last week, I've been doing PR recently for the International Women's Day Festival. We had a fantastic page 3 story in the Gold Coast Sun, this one in the North, South and Central edition of the Sun, just last week, because it's International Women's Day tomorrow, as you may be aware. It's perfect for a Women's Empowerment Conference. Now that went out to 120, there's 120,000 copies went out, so that's about 500,000 readers of that story. Now the 25-year history of International Women's Day Festival, they have never done PR. And now we've got them on TV, we've got print, we've got lots of radio coverage for them, and now more and more people are starting to find out about the women's global empowerment movement, right, that is happening here as part of International Women's Day. Also, I've been on TV and radio many times, and this is actually Channel 9 and on ABC Radio with different work I've done for charity as well. So I started the world's first Animal Action Day in 2007 to raise awareness, appreciation and respect for animals, because I was very upset by animal cruelty and wanted to do something to make a difference. So with that, there's been a lot of media coverage. This is Herb Armstrong here, who's Louis Armstrong's grandson. He lives in Brisbane. He performed at one of the Animal Action events that I ran. I've also interviewed a whole lot of celebrities. These are some of them here that I've had the great fortune to interview over the years. Now there's a few things all these people have in common. One is that they were once the world's best kept secret. Do you feel a bit like that right now? Also, they're really passionate about what they do. If you're really passionate about what you do, that will shine through, and the media will absolutely love that, and you'll get a better run in media if you come across passionate. The other thing they all have in common, and someone said they all had to take cocaine once, but I don't know. The other thing they all have in common is they have someone else representing them in the media. So it always looks better when you have someone else saying you're amazing as opposed to you saying you're amazing. The other thing they have in common is they have all toughened themselves to criticism. And if you're going to put yourself out there, you need to be able to cope with criticism. You're going to have people that love you and hate you no matter what you do. The more you step up in life, you're going to have more and more of that. So you need to get used to that and be okay with that and stand in your truth no matter what happens. I started my media business, AA Expose Media, when I was working as a journalist at the Gold Coast Sun back in the early 2000s, 2002 actually, and I worked with small and large companies. So some of the little tips I'll give you today in my short time with you works for any media that you go to anywhere. There's also a lot of opportunity in the online space, obviously, to do your own TV shows. I've got Media Queen TV on YouTube and have over 100 videos on there. And I also co-host Tech Webcast, which has had over 1 million downloads in the last 8 years. I do that with 3 guys I've never met, such as the Power of the Online Media. 2 of them are in Victoria, 1's in America. And I've been doing that for about 3 years now. Good news versus bad news. How do you feel when you hear a good news story?
Good.
You feel good, right? How do you feel when you hear a bad news story? Right, pretty bad, right? And yeah, a lot of people do, and a lot of people I know now don't watch a lot of news because of that, right? So the thing is to get conscious to how we're consuming the news. That's really the big message. You get conscious to what you're putting out and what you're letting in. Right? And that includes the people around you as well, because they're all feeding you news every day too, right? So you want to keep your environment really above board as well and have positive people in your life. Now, of course, there's going to be crap going on in life, right? There's going to be things that are happening that you don't like. But let's look at what we can do to celebrate those that are doing good in that area as opposed to the drama of that. Right? So for example, I did a fundraiser for koalas a few years ago, and we put a press release out saying that koalas are critically endangered. There's only 50,000 left in the wild. However, this is what you can do about it, and this is what we're doing about it as a Gold Coast community. You can drive slowly at night, you can make sure your pets are contained, dogs particularly contained at night so they don't attack the koalas, and you can plant eucalypt trees. There are 3 simple things we can all do to help koalas, right? So focus on the positives as opposed to the negatives. Sometimes you need to mention the negative, particularly when you're getting media coverage, because you need to mention how bad the situation is so that we want to create action to do something about it, right? So why publicity? Well, trust is huge nowadays. Trust is massive, as we know, with the online space. You can target your message to your ideal clients with media. Credibility is huge, leverage, influence, confidence, increase your cash flow. Now, a lot of people I know are time poor, and if that's you, you want to be leveraging yourself through the media. You do the story once, you get your radio show done once, you get on TV once, and you can leverage that again and again. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will see that over time. This is what can happen if you get publicity. These are the results. So you will have fame. It's being an expert in your industry. You don't have to be necessarily like a superstar like Oprah. Freedom, fortune, and you can leave a legacy. And I love the leaving a legacy thing. Every time you see any story in the media, every time you interview anyone, every time you're doing any kind of video footage, you're leaving a legacy for someone. And there's actually quite a few interviews I've done now where people I've interviewed have passed away, such as Michael Rowland. I've got 2 interviews with him. One of the guru personal development people that was around years ago. I've got 2 interviews on my shows, and he passed away recently. So you know, you just never know when's the last time you're going to be with someone, right? And so you want to ideally capture those stories as much as possible. Even if it's just doing an interview with someone you know, capture the story of the people around you and share it online. You just never know who you'll touch with your story. The cost of advertising is absolutely huge. These are just some of the figures in Australia alone. So $25,000 for a 30-second ad is what we're looking at in Australia for traditional advertising. Newspapers, you pay $10,000 up to $100,000. I won't go through all the details, but basically people are wasting thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising, and you've got 22 times more eyeballs on the stories versus the ads. People switch off with ads. So you can stop wasting money on ads. Digital advertising too, it's not working for a lot of people. Even Facebook advertising, usually only about a quarter of the people I know it's actually working for. So publicity is actually worth, where you've got a journalist writing about you, is worth 3 to 8 times more than advertising. So it's very, very powerful if you get, you've got that credibility of a journalist. So 3 keys to profit from publicity. I'm going to go through this very quickly. What's your story? Now, Stephen S. is the guy I worked with, known as the webinar guy. Now, when he came to me, he'd been a panel beater in the western suburbs of Sydney 5 years previously. Now he was a multi-millionaire. There's one angle. There was another angle for him. He created some software to enable automation of webinars. The second angle. Third angle is he was doing seminars across Australia and New Zealand that were free, that were helping offline businesses go online. So there's a great community news story as well. So what happened with him, we're going on Sky News Business TV. The publicity value of a 6-minute story with him is worth $1.5 million. If you times the value, times 5 of what he would have paid for advertising. So 3 to 8 times the value of the story versus the ad. So that's 1.5 million. And as an online marketer, he can now say forever as seen on TV. You only have to appear once and you can say as seen on TV, right? That's very, very powerful as an online marketer. What are you passionate about as well? So good news is huge for me, and there's a story behind what you're passionate about and why you're passionate about what you're passionate about. For me, I've had depression over the years. I've had 4 friends take their own lives before the age of 45. And growing up as a kid in Sydney, my dad would religiously watch the news every single night. I would have that negative news drummed into me every single night as a kid. And so I had that conditioning where I just felt, what's the point of living if everything's so negative? Why bother? So I started a Good News Day on the 8th of the 8th/18 to help inspire more good news worldwide. With the animal action work, I'm a very passionate animal lover. I saw a sheep I befriended when I was 6 get slaughtered in front of me in Turkey, had its throat cut in front of me. So I was very connected to that sheep, and that was part of the journey for me in what I do now. I'm very grateful for that sheep now, mind you. Very grateful. But you know, not everyone connects with animals the same. My brother was only 2 years older, he didn't connect with that sheep. There's a story behind what you do, right? So that's just a snippet of that. So I started the world's first Animal Action Day 2007. I've done 13 annual events now raising awareness, appreciation and respect for animals, up to year 14 this year, and just like a different charity every year. So it's been very exciting. We've had a lot of amazing performers. Next, you need to package up what you want to do. So you need to think about visuals, you need a press release ideally. Now this story here is pretty much a press release I sent to the journalist. She's pretty much copied and pasted exactly what I sent her. Because journalists are really busy, you don't have much time to get your story across. About 45 seconds is all you've got to get your story across. Photos or visuals, whether it's radio, TV or print, you need to think visually because media are always thinking in pictures. Radio put their stories online, so they're thinking pictures all the time. All traditional media now have social media, they have websites that they're also sharing their stories to. And then you need to pitch it effectively. So you need to be short, snappy with your pitch. If you waffle on with journalists, and they do speak fast like I do, right? If you waffle on, you're kind of dead air in media, right? It's very different to public speaking, you know, the power of pause. I'm watching the clock, so it's like, So a very different world when you speak to media or when you do radio interviews or podcast interviews, right? Now here's an example of a package that we did. As the lady came to me, she was a women's empowerment coach called Michelle Patterson on the Gold Coast. And she wanted to get a story out there about her women's empowerment classes. So we put a press release out. We said, Coach empowers women who underwent forced adoptions. Now we had a little bit of interest with this, and then we just changed it slightly to this one. Mother opens up on secret forced adoption after 30 years. And that's right, it was amazing. The media went off. They went crazy for this story, and I we started getting bombarded with requests by magazines. Right? That was good timing. And basically we negotiated with Women's Day to do an exclusive story. They paid thousands of dollars for this story, and this is what happened here. So they sent a photographer up to the little Labrador unit with this empowerment coach, and the makeup artist. These are behind the scenes photos, which of course were embargoed until the Women's Day magazine came out. And there's some more behind the scenes photos. And that's the 2-page story that came out. And the website for her is which you can't see on this, it's too blurry, but her website actually came out right here for her business, right? So even though it's a story about her life and a bit about something really unique about her life, which you will all have something, there'll be an X factor for every single one of you, right? Where you have an X factor in your story. There's something about your story. In fact, if not many things about your story, right? But often we're too close to our story to see what our magic is. But in this case, we had a fantastic story. Now, she paid for an ad. She would have paid 2 pages of ads, would have cost her $60,000, plus it went on the front page as well as exclusive. So the publicity value times it by 5, 300,000, 1.6 million readers she has now inspired with her story. Very powerful. The third is profit. There's lots of ways you can profit. Now, make sure when you do get your media coverage, get photos with the journalists and use that in your social media. You want to be using that right across the board. Aussie Mega Mall's a company I worked with. They're just online stores. We got about 40 media hits for them when we worked with them. At the time in 2016, 3,500 stores is what they had online. And then last year, up to 32,000 stores, so and about 8 million products. So they're 10 times their business in 3 years after getting publicity. And they basically sell advertising packages to businesses to promote online. So it's all online. But to build that credibility, they had a media page and lots of media listings. And the media started to follow them up for stories, the big stories on Amazon, etc. Because the media now knew about that, they would just call them back directly and get more stories. So that's the power of it. This is Kurek Ashley. For anyone who knows Kurek, he's a success coach on the Sunshine Coast. This is when he was living in, before he married Joanna. this is not the second wife, whatever wife was. Anyway, so this is Kurek's success coach. Now Kurek always wanted to be on Oprah, and I did this 4-page story with an Excel magazine, and it got held over a month. And would you believe who's on the cover of the magazine? But Oprah. So now Oprah's got in her hot little hands 4-page magazine, Excel magazine. You would remember it, true. Yes. So I used to do a soul search series in there. So now Oprah has got in her hot little hands a 4-page story about a success coach on the Sunshine Coast, thanks to him stepping up, putting his story out. And this story was about going from $20 away from being broke to a multi-millionaire. So that was his rags to riches story. Publicity value is only 80,000. Hey, only 80,000. But being in that proximity, they say proximity is power. Being in that proximity with someone like Oprah, it automatically gives you that kind of celebrity status. The world is your oyster. The world is, as you can see, right there, there it is. The world is your oyster. Now I do hold workshops, and I do tribe meetups as well, mass media tribe meetups, to help you just share your good news and to promote more of what you do. And this is really what it's all about. And how about we all read it together? I believe in the power of one, and I believe in you. May your flame burn bright and light up all those around you.
Hallelujah.
Because I know you're all watching it going now. She's not pausing.
Aldwyn.